Hi everyone, sorry the picture's not so bright, but let me get this. There we go, that's better. Alright, none of y'all really know who I am. My name is Terrell Frederick Dean II, but you can call me Terry. I just want to talk to you about some things that are going on in the reality of life out there. We are headed into some very dark times. Very bad things are about to happen. But there is hope. The hope is us. The hope is our love for us and for others. It's the only way. Without love, there is no existence. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Suppose that there was an earth and that man evolved or was created. Without love, there would only be hate. There would only be destruction. So as soon as another person came along, even if it was a beautiful woman that they could have beautiful children with, you probably would kill her and the human race would die right then and there. It's through our love for each other as well as for our love for ourselves that we progress, that we have children, that we get married. And it's our love and respect for all mankind that can lead to peace. It's the only way to peace. You can't get to peace through war. War is war. It's the opposite of peace. War leads to more war. Negativity leads to more negativity. Violence leads to more violence. And even if your intentions are true, that can be the case. Suppose, for instance, a man rapes and murders your daughter. Now, there's going to be so much anger that you have towards that man that you would want to kill him, probably. Most people probably would want to torture and kill him. But if you actually did it, acted on those thoughts, those wishes and desires, those wants, then that person's family, anyone that loved or cared about that person, would all of a sudden want to torture and kill you. And then somebody else, other people would want to torture and kill them if they acted on it. It's a never-ending cycle. The only way to end it is to turn the other cheek, to walk away. It's one thing to defend yourself and your life or someone else's life in the moment. Self-defense is fine. And you have the right to defend yourself and the ones that you love. But being a vigilante, even our governmental system, now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have laws. Of course we should. And those laws should be specifically directed towards anyone who is being violent towards another person or their property. And you can't steal, you can't hurt, you can't kill, you can't rape. I mean, those are pretty basic concepts. I mean, if you're allowed to hurt me, then I'm allowed to hurt you, and vice versa. And all that does is lead to more destruction, more negativity, more killing, less people. So yes, you have to have laws. Those laws. Do not hurt anyone else. Do not hurt their property. Now, as far as emotional sensitivity, look, I get it. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, people should not call each other names. But we should not have laws as far as that. Because sometimes we have to strengthen ourselves by not letting it get to us, not letting it hurt us. Some things we can prevent ourselves. We can prevent ourselves from being hurt emotionally, at least to a certain degree. And it does strengthen you, and it makes it harder to get hurt. The more that you experience it, the more that you go through it. So in a way, it is even a good thing, can be a good thing. I was bullied and teased as a kid, and I got picked on, called names, and it hurt. I mean, there were many times when I'd get home from school, and I'd walk down, I'd tell my mom I'm going down to the creek, and I'd go down to the creek, and I'd just sit there by myself, just crying my eyes out. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt a lot. And yes, I wish hadn't had to have gone through all that. But it has made me stronger. It has toughened me up. It has made me realize that I can't put so much emphasis, I can't care too much what other people think or say or believe. That ultimately my value, my peace, my happiness comes from within me. We all are capable of that. For some it may be harder than others. For me, it was really hard. I suffered through major depression. I attempted suicide 3 times in my life. And there are still times where the thought pops in my head where, I mean, things would be easier if I wasn't here. I wouldn't have to deal with all this. But I know that the moment I do it again, then that hope is gone. And that's why I'm still here. I mean, by the grace of God, I'm still here. I mean, I shouldn't be here. And now, okay, we got all these different conceptions as far as what or who God is. Now, for me, what makes the most sense, and I've studied philosophy and ethics and religion, and I mean, all the political structures, ethics, and I mean, morality. I've studied a lot. Now, do I know everything? No, of course not. But what God is, if God exists, God would be the ultimate, right? God would be all knowing, all powerful, all time, all logic, and all good. If God, because I mean, think about it like this: if God was evil, if God was negative, then he would he would be constantly destroying us left and right. Boom, boom, boom. He'd be like, oh, fuck this, I'm done. Let me blow them all up. But he hasn't done that. We still exist. We are still here. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, God's heartless because he doesn't answer my prayers. He lets all these people suffer. Well, sometimes you gotta look at things through God's eyes. And that's hard to do because, I mean, it's really hard to look outside of yourself. In order to look through God's eyes, you have to be able to look through everyone else's eyes as well. It's the only way. And the more people that you're able to look and understand their perspective, their point of view, their reasoning, their beliefs, their understanding, the more that you are able to understand people, the more you are able to understand God. Now, I don't hold everything, I don't believe everything that the Bible believes or says. I don't believe that because, I mean, I do know that the Bible was written by men that may or may not have been prophets or messengers of God. Maybe they thought they were, maybe they were lying, maybe they were being completely sincere. Who knows? People make mistakes. To err is human. So I understand that. But if you look at God as being love, which the Bible does say, God is love. And if God is good, all good, perfect, which I only see 2 scenarios. Either God is all good and all perfect, or God is human, just like us. That we are all basically copies of God. Slightly different here and there, but In which case, I mean, but if God was pure evil, we wouldn't be here. Because, I mean, he would just have, he would just boom, 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 be blowing places up left and right, be like, oh, let's watch this blow up, oh, let's destroy this. I mean, that's how I would see it, at least. Now, of course, yeah, I'm a man trying to see through God's eyes. And the closest I can come to do that is to look at all the different perspectives, all the different points of view, and realize that there's got to be truth in every one of them. I mean, think about it. We were made in God's image. Now, I mean, some people equate that to just a physical image. Okay, we got 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 nose, mouth, nose, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's a lot more to it than that. There may be some semblance of that too, but I do believe that God created us to be learning, thinking creatures, and that there is both good and bad, both truth and lie, love and hate within each and every one of us to a certain degree. But I do believe that if God is indeed all good and all positive, then that is the direction that we should be heading towards progress, I mean, and it doesn't even have to be success. You don't have to be rich and famous to be successful. You can be successful by loving more, by accepting more, by being less judgmental, I mean, open your arms and helping people. I mean, that to me is a much greater success, and I'm sure God would feel the same way. I know God would be the same way. If God exists, I know that's the way God would be. And people can argue with me and say, oh, you don't know that. Okay, maybe not 100%, but 99.99999. Okay? So, I'm just saying, I see this world falling apart. And I know why it is. It makes perfect sense to me. And it really comes down to people don't think and feel enough. They just let their animal instincts take over and they go do it. Or they do think and feel, but they think and feel negatively. They act out of fear. They act out of anger. They act out of depression. And I understand that. I've done that plenty of times myself. I mean, like I said, I'm nowhere near perfect, nowhere near as where I want to be. I mean, Jesus Christ to me is my role model. It's a representation of the true ideal. Now, whether Jesus Christ actually existed, or was actually God incarnate, or just a person, or a prophet, or whether those stories in the Bible actually were true, that what it says about him, that I don't know. But I don't think that the main point is his teachings, is what you learn from it. I mean, God told Adam to be fruitful and multiply. Well, what does that mean? I mean, we know what multiply means. Okay, be more and more, grow numbers. Okay, that's pretty simple. It means procreate. So, but there are a lot of misconceptions. I mean, a lot of people, well, maybe not this day and age so much, but make sex out to be a bad thing. And yes, lust for someone that you're not with can be bad, yes. But if you're married, if you're in love, then, I mean, lust, okay, yes, lust is a bad thing because it's really putting yourself first. But you know the difference between sex, fucking, and making love? I mean, making love is about putting the other person first, pleasing them, not caring whether you get off or not, but just trying to make it as enjoyable as possible for the one you're with. That's making love. Fucking, okay, you're just quick, boom, 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 did my thing, okay, I'm done. That's not making love. And think of even think about the words. You make love. when you put somebody else first, you are creating love. You are creating love within yourself, and you're creating love for that person. So, and I know I'm kind of going in a bunch of different directions, but there's so much on my mind. And I know, like, a lot of Christians out there, I'm going to say this. I know a lot of Christians out there are against incest. And that's a bad word. I don't like that word because it has a negative connotation to it. But I do believe that word has a meaning, of course. And it means being romantic or sexual with relatives. Now, I know this is going to cause a lot of uproar by what I have to say on this subject, but I look at it, again, I mean, I've looked at the Bible. I mean, I was raised a Christian, and I still have a lot of Christian beliefs. I mean, there are a lot of beliefs from all different religions, I mean, because that's basically what I've done. I've spent my life looking at all these different beliefs and theories and opinions and combining them, putting the pieces together. I mean, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. That's what life is. That's what existence is. We're trying to put the pieces together to create a picture, to make it make sense. That's what we all do. All of us do that to some level or to some degree. Some work harder at it than others, and some, but that part doesn't really matter. I mean, the important part is that we connect the pieces in the right way. And that's why if you believe in Jesus, if you believe in God, even if you don't believe in Jesus or God, if you believe in love, what's going to lead to something better than love? Is hate ever going to lead to better things than love would or could? Will fear ever lead to better things than love could? No. Love is the key. And even the Bible says God is love. If God is love and love is the key, then whether God was an actual sentient being or whether it's just the force of love, I mean, love has power. Love has power to unite. And yes, okay, hate and fear, they have power too. They have the power to destruct. The question really comes down to, I mean, in this world, in our existence, in our lives, do we want destruction or unity? I mean, do we want to destroy or do we want to build? And there are a lot of people that want to destroy. And for all of you out there that want to destroy, hey, if you want to just go destroy yourself, that's fine. But let the rest of us make our own decisions for ourselves, please. You have the right to your decision, and we have the right to ours. And what I want to do to my body is my business. So if I want to smoke some weed, which I'd like to do, I'm going to smoke some weed. I don't care what the law says, because the law is already corrupted. The law has been broken by the lawmakers. You can't trust the law. No, because the law could say anything. There are so many unnecessary laws, that exist, that are, its only intention is control and power over us. They got laws for all sorts of stupid shit. It's illegal to catch rainwater in a freaking bucket. Are you seriously? Come on. If I decide to put a bucket out there and collect some rainwater, that's illegal. What kind of stupidity is that shit? The seatbelt law. Okay, I'm fine with requiring, okay, if you're a parent, okay, until they turn 18, you have to make sure that they wear a seatbelt because you got to look out for your kids. I don't have a problem with that. But if you're an adult and you don't want to wear a seatbelt, That's your life, and you should be able to make that choice. No, I get it. Okay, I understand. People say, yeah, but if you get killed, then it'll hurt your family. Look, the law is supposed to protect us physically, not emotionally. I mean, our emotions is the one thing that we have most control over, is our thinking and our brain and our heart. I mean, of course, it's not not always easy to control. I mean, it takes practice. It's just like anything else. I mean, in order to get good at it, you have to keep doing it. You have to keep practicing. I mean, that's the thing is people want to be like, well, no, I don't want to practice. They should just stop. Look, yeah, okay, you're right. Okay, people should be nice and should think for others and be considerate and all. I agree with you 100% on that. People need to be that way. But they need to get there on their own. You can't force it. God gave us free will. Life gave us free will. Existence gave us free will. Whatever you want to say, call it. We have free will. And we are all individuals. So I don't have the right to force you to do anything that you don't want to do, to say anything that you don't want to say, to think anything that you don't want to think, to believe anything that you don't want to believe. I don't have that right. But neither do you. None of you, even as a group, even if every single person on this planet all agreed except for one, they have no right to force that one to believe the same way as the rest of them. They don't. Nobody does. No group does. No group has more right or power than the individual. No one. Now, the individual, yeah, you should use your free will responsibly. You should be wise, be thankful, be considerate, be generous. You should do those good things. Because what happens if you don't? It's going to lead to destruction. That's what happens. I mean, it's freaking science. I mean, the more negative you go, the more negative you are. I mean, you can't say, okay, I'm going from -1 to -3 is more positive. That's common. No. Common sense says no, that's more negative. So, the only way to build positively is to build positively. I mean, it's common sense. You can't teach peace through war. You can't teach hate or can't teach love through hate. You got to teach love through love. We each have to set an example. And like I was saying, as far as the relatives thing, like I said, if God is never wrong, then how can love ever be wrong? I mean, we love who we love, regardless. I mean, I don't choose who I fall in love with. I mean, be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna fall in love with that person. Now, given enough time together, if we chose, okay, yeah, we might be able to make ourselves fall in love with each other. But a lot of times, we don't choose it. It just happens. And I don't think that's ever a bad or wrong thing. And if you look at the Bible, I mean, Adam and Eve, God told Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply, knowing that when they died, all that would be left on the planet would be their children, a whole bunch of brothers and sisters. And God never told those brothers and sisters, don't be fruitful and multiply. Never said, you cannot be with your sister or your brother. He never told them that. It never says that in the Bible, at least. And God, I mean, so now there is a part in the Bible where it does say, okay, brother shall not lay with sister, and man shall not lay with man. I can't remember all the different ones, but there was a number of them in there. But I believe that part, that whole section, was written by men, which I know it was written by men. I mean, the Bible is clearly written, physically written, letter by letter, by people. I mean, not some magical force just all of a sudden poof and there it was. The Bible just didn't poof into existence. No, it was written. And it was written by people, by humans. that make mistake. Some of them, I mean, even if they believe, I mean, just because they believe that God told them to write it, doesn't mean it did. People hallucinate. Even nowadays, I mean, you look at all these schizophrenic people walking around, and I mean, there's people that have killed in the name of God. Oh, God told me to do it. And then there are other peaceful people now that said, oh, God told me to do this. Look, I might believe you if what you're doing or saying is a good, loving thing, because that makes sense. Yeah, okay, God's going to say that. But God saying not to love, no. God is love. Why would God ever say don't love? He wouldn't. That makes no sense. I mean, throughout the Bible, it talks about, loving your neighbor, love your enemy, love yourself, love God. I mean, love Jesus. I mean, we're supposed to love each other, all of us. Every single being, we're supposed to all love each other. Even animals. We should love animals. And I'm not saying we shouldn't hunt. I mean, we got to eat, we got to survive. Me personally, I don't know if I could kill an animal for food. I'd probably just forage for berries or eat leaves and grass or something. I don't know. I don't know if I could kill an animal myself. I mean, not any, I mean, I have killed in the past, and I did feel bad for it. I mean, of course, I wasn't hunting for food, so that may have been a little different, but I mean, I can honestly say I'm in love with my cousin. And as far as cousins go, the Bible never says it's wrong for cousins to be together. Never. Even when it lists, like, brother shall not lie with sister, and man shall not lie with man or something. I I know it did not say cousin shall not lie with cousin. It did not say that. Not only that, but if you look up the story, look the story of Abraham's son Isaac, and the story of how Isaac met his wife. Now, Isaac's wife, well, I've read it two different ways. In one way, I've read it that Isaac's wife was his second cousin, and I've read it in one way in which it was his first cousin. Either way, it's pretty close to, I mean, like I said, it's my first cousin that I'm in love with. But it's pretty, I mean, whether it's exactly first cousin or whether it's second cousin, okay, it's pretty close. And God actually made that happen. God sent Isaac, told Isaac where he would meet his wife, and told him to go there. Now, if God was against cousins being romantically involved, then all he would have had to have done would be like, okay, well, instead of going over here, go over there and meet this other woman that is not your cousin. But God did not do that. No, God did not do that. He chose Isaac's cousin. First or second, he chose Isaac's cousin to be his wife. And yet, there are so many people that think, ooh, that's gross, being with your cousin. Well, honestly, I don't get that. To me, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, for several reasons. Not just what I've just said there, but I mean, first off, like here where I live in Virginia, it is actually legal to marry your cousin. So I could marry my cousin. Of course, my cousin's kind of, well, she hasn't really said, ew, marry. I'm in love with her probably because, I know part of the reasons because she is more mature and hasn't reacted that way. Of course, I have had crushes on some of my other cousins who were like, ew, you're my cousin, blah, whatever. But that just proved to me that they weren't the one for me. But besides the fact that it is legal here, okay, now we're gonna get into the medical thing because I know a lot of people say, oh, you have babies with your family and they come up out. Look, first off, the media has blown all that shit way up out of proportion. For first cousins, I actually did research, looked this up online. You can too. I can't remember where it was, but search. I mean, you can use your search, and things are pretty easy to find nowadays. But as far as first cousins, having a child that is born mentally or physically handicapped, the odds are 6%. 6% that will happen. That means a 94% chance that it won't happen. So 94% of the time, kids turn out fine. Now, also according to the research, yes, that is double the standard norm. The standard norm for any two non-relatives is there's a 3% chance. So yeah, 6% is twice as much as 3%, but it is still very, very, very little. Not to mention the fact that, I mean, even some of the common sayings say that, I mean, the greater the risk, the greater the reward. And think about that. Who are you more likely to have things in common with? Common interests, common beliefs, shared thoughts, and you are more likely to get along with and have a better relationship with a family member than you would with a non-family member. Now, of course, it's not always the case, and there is always exceptions to every rule out there. I mean, pretty much every single rule out there is an exception to it. I mean, so just because you're brother and sister or cousins doesn't mean that you belong together, that you're right for each other. No. But the odds are better. And think about it. I mean, if the Bible's true and we all came from Adam and Eve, basically came from their children, because I mean, after after Adam and Eve died, all that was left after Adam and Eve died, according to the Bible, was a bunch of brothers and sisters. Because it never once said anything about God creating more people Himself. No, He created two, according to the Bible. I mean, I know, of course, there are some books that say that He created Lilith. I mean, that was a woman before Eve. But even then, I mean, they're still going to... Ultimately, we all were born, or all came from incest. It was the only way possible, unless the Bible was completely BS. But... And it really, also, I don't, I mean, this whole cousin thing, typically, why they say that, I can tell you exactly why they say it. I mean, just for a couple of reasons. One's a power thing. One is because evil hates love. So anything that promotes love, he's against. So he's going to try to push love away by saying, oh, it's wrong. Oh, it's wrong to love this one. Oh, it's wrong to love that one. Or, no, you can't love someone of a different race. No, you can't love someone that's related. No, I mean, that's what evil does. I mean, it's not going to come out there like that and say it probably so point-of-factly pointing out the fact that they're evil. But that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to trick people into believing that love is wrong. That's what evil's going to do. I mean, think about it. If God is love, and if there is an evil or a devil out there, then obviously the devil, evil, is going to make God or love out to be wrong. I mean, and that's evident. I mean, this is kind of, I'm proving my point by just piecing the puzzle. That's what I'm saying. You got to piece them together. All these pieces, they fit together. You just got to figure out how they fit. Science can never disprove God, because if God is true and real, then science is a part of God, and science only works for God. God is proof of, science is proof of God's logic, of God's intelligence. I mean, if God exists, okay. Yeah, there is the possibility. I don't really believe that, because it just makes too much sense the other way. I mean, like I said, with every belief or thought out there, there is the possibility that you're wrong. There, that's how you have free will. If there's no possibility, then there's no free will. There has to be that possibility. You have to have two choices at least, or there's no free will. That's why God said, okay, do not eat from this tree, from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That moment was him giving mankind free will by giving him that choice. And that was half of that choice. The other half of the choice came when the serpent, which most people say is the devil, I think they were working together. God said, okay, I'm going to give mankind free will. For me to do that, I have to give them two choices. So I'm going to give them the first choice by saying, do not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now you, who are working with me, I want you to tell them to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And by giving us that choice, God gave us free will. Now, whether that story actually happened or not, I mean, I can make sense of it. It does. I have no problem believing that did happen. I also don't really have a point with that, with a problem with that believing that didn't happen either. I mean, because I think it's more of the purpose, the meaning behind it. Like I said, I mean, God is so intelligent, so wise that there's going to be meanings behind meanings behind meanings. I mean, everything's going to fit together so perfectly that there is no way to dispute or argue it. And the more you try, the more it points you in his direction. I mean, even scientists now, or a lot of them are turning around starting to believe that there is a God because there's just some things that it just points to God. I mean, it just makes sense. Now, I'm not trying to convince you to believe in God or not. I mean, and for me, like I said, I believe God is love. So I believe that if you believe in love, then you already believe in God. Now, of course, to all those people out there that think it's better to hate, well, if you if you want to be hated by others, if you want to hate yourself, that is your choice, that is your right. But we have the right to defend ourselves. And so if your hate leads to violence, we will do what's necessary to protect ourselves and the ones we love. Now, of course, I don't want there to be any hate. I don't want there to be any war. I don't want there to be any violence. I would love to see heaven on earth. Nothing but peace, love, harmony, truth. I mean, joy, all the good, positive things. I would love to see that. Odds are in my life, I probably won't. But you never know. I mean, it may take an act of God for that to happen. For God to come down here and separate. I mean, the ones that love from the ones that don't, and separate the good from the evil. I mean, and I mean, if He does, great. Like I said, I mean, of course, the more people that are on the side of love, the happier I'll be. Just know, because I don't want anybody to go to hell. I don't want anybody to be miserable or suffer or go through pain. I want everyone to be happy. I want the whole world to be happy, including myself. Yes, of course, I want myself to be happy. And that's why, I mean, I've been constantly, my whole life, looking for love, looking for the one, the right one. And there's been several times where I thought I may have found it, and it turns out I was wrong. And right now, like I said, I'm in love with my cousin right now, and I may also turn around to be wrong. I mean, it doesn't matter because she's not interested, but so I mean, just for that fact, maybe she isn't the one, or maybe she just isn't the one yet. I don't know. But like I said, this message is to let you know that there is evil and there is love. The evil wants you to fear love and to turn away from love because, well, God is love. So I'm saying don't. Don't listen. Don't be afraid to love. Don't be afraid to take a chance. I mean, look, I know I've done some bad things, and I've admitted to them. I've apologized for them, and I've confessed my sins. And I've confessed them to God. I've confessed them to my family and friends, and to the ones that I've actually sinned against. And I'm going to keep doing that for several reasons: for truth, for honesty, for love, for peace. Honesty, like I said, I mean, you gotta follow your heart. You gotta, of course, use your brain too. Don't be stupid sometimes, but I mean, you got to feel. I mean, there are we all have auras, vibrations that you can typically be around somebody and feel if they're angry, or feel if they're sad, or feel if they're happy. You can normally tell. There are exceptions. There are people that are good at hiding it, or people that are just not quite as good at sensing it. I am kind of an empath, so I'm very good at sensing it when somebody's uncomfortable or angry or sad. And pretty sensitive and pretty intuitive as well. I've always been a logical thinker as well. I mean, no, do I have a college degree? No, because to me that's just a freaking piece of paper. I mean, plus, I mean, all the time and money, I can't afford to go to do all that shit. Plus, I mean, they force you to take subjects that you're not interested in, things that you don't. I mean, nothing wrong with taking English courses, but I can speak. I'm not illiterate. I can read. I mean, I may have a little country accent or talk in slang sometimes, but I'm not stupid. And I think, not to mention, I mean, a lot of, especially nowadays, you see a lot of these colleges that are teaching these left wing, I mean, ideology, and some of it I can understand. I mean, look, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican either. Morally speaking, I tend to hold more with the conservatives and the Republicans. Tend to. There are issues I definitely side more with Democrats and liberals on. For the most part, yeah, legally, I think the law should stay out of pretty much everything. And like I said, unless it's doing physical harm to anyone or any property, then I think they need to stay out of it for the most part. Because the more they do, the less we do. And that's the thing is, that's how these governments end up. That's why the same things that keep end up happening is, I mean, government ends up getting more and more power, and that's because they're taking the power away from the people. The individual becomes weaker and weaker, and the government becomes more and more powerful. And then at some point, there's a break. At some point, the ones who have given up or lost their power decide, okay, enough's enough, and they decide to try to take their power back, and then ends up a war, and governments end up collapsing. And I mean, that's why it keeps happening over and over again, because we keep giving up our power to the government. The government is supposed to be limited power, and it's only supposed to protect us from each other. All this physically, I mean, physically protect us and our property, and that's it. I mean, all this emotional sensitivity. I mean, look, I do understand. I mean, for a white guy to say the word nigger is a bad thing. Look, I just said it. I'm not calling anybody a nigger. I don't like that word because of its negative connotation. I don't like it. But I'm saying that word now. Like I said, not in direct pointing out of anybody. Because, first off, from what I've heard and what I've learned, nigger is supposed to mean an ignorant black man. But I think that's fucking stupid. I think it's racist. Yes, it is a racist thing. But that's why I probably would never use that word to call a black person ignorant. I would never say that. But I might call a white person nigger. Just to kind of get it off of those fucking racial tones. I mean, if nigger just meant an ignorant person, if that's all it meant, then that racism would be taken out of there. And then that word would lose all of its power. And that's the thing is, these people in charge, they are very intelligent. They're very sneaky. They know how to give words power and how to take them away. And they give the power to the wrong words. That's why they are constantly trying to divide. And they both do it. Both sides do it. Democrats and Republicans both do it all the time. They are trying to keep it divided. They don't want people to unite. Because they know the moment people start to unite, they're going to unite against them. So the Republicans and the Democrats do not want you to unite, to unite, unless you're uniting with them. So they got to keep you separate. They got to keep it divisive. That's what governments do. They will always do that. And that is the problem. Why we need to get rid of representatives entirely. No more representatives. No. Every law and bill should be passed by the people, by popular vote. Majority wins. And I don't mean the majority of the total population. No, because I mean, if people choose not to vote, then they don't get counted in that vote. How? It's common sense. So, based on the people, like, for example, here in the U.S., if we voted on a specific law, like, for example, should marijuana be legal? Now, we would make that vote. Like I said, I don't think that should be a law. Because that goes against, like I said, the physical, nobody's getting hurt. I'm not hurting you physically or hurting your property physically by smoking me some weed. So I don't think laws like that should even be voted on. It should only be laws pertaining to physical harm of a person's body or property. But those would have to be voted into place that way, which is the problem. Because, yeah, I mean, if it was voted by the popular opinion, okay, this should be illegal, I would still smoke. I don't care what the law says. I know in my heart and in my mind what is right and what is wrong. For me. I'm not saying for you or for her or for him. No. I'm saying I know what's right for me. And so as long as it doesn't directly, physically affect someone else or their property, then I should have the right to do what I want with my body. Just as each and every one of you individuals should have that same exact right. Now, I do love my country, and I do put America first, but barely. Because really, yeah, okay, when it comes to, okay, helping out people, typically most people help out those that are the closest to them, physically the closest. I mean, you're going to help the homeless person that's right here in front of you instead of the one that's 1,000 miles away. I mean, it's common sense, but and since I live in the U.S., more than likely I would try to help the U.S. first because they're closer, they're easier to help. But I mean, I do love the entire human race, and I don't get why there's so. I mean, our laws for our people should be the same as our laws are for others, for other countries' people. I mean, we all deserve respect. Not just Americans. I mean, like I said, I love America. But America is only as strong as our beliefs in it. And our beliefs as Americans are supposed to be the prosperity of all, not just us. I mean, no, I do think that we don't need to go get involved and help other countries quite as much as we have. I mean, a lot of it does, yeah, I mean, individual and local responsibility. I mean, people got to be able to do for themselves. I mean, part of it is survival of the fittest. I mean, you got to do things for yourself. You can't just have everyone do everything for you, because then you'll become weak. If I sat here on my couch and had everyone else running around and giving me food and drinks and cleaning and doing all this stuff, and I never got off this couch, I would become so weak and I would end up dying. That's why you can't. No, you got to get up. You got to move around. You got to do for yourself. I mean, and it's not just physical too. It's mental. It's emotional. You got to do these things for yourself. You got to toughen up. Yeah, say, okay, I mean, point out the fact, okay, somebody, what they said was wrong or insensitive or inconsiderate. Yeah, help them out by acknowledging their mistakes. And sometimes, I mean, but you got to do it in a way that's effective. I mean, you got to understand how people's minds work. Look, if somebody like stole something from me, and I go off and just start yelling at him and cussing him out and say, "Hey, you motherfucker," and all this shit, I mean, that's not going to change anything, because then he's going to just react on instinct instead of actually taking the time to think about what I'm saying. So that's why, yeah, there does have to be diplomacy and there does have to be talking, communication, open communication. I mean, within our country, I mean, as well as within the whole world. I mean, we all got to learn how to communicate and listen better. Actually, listen. I mean, there's a big difference between just hearing what they said and actually listening. Listening requires you to actually think about it, to actually look at it from their point of view. See, just like, I mean, there are pedophiles out there, okay? People that molest children. Now, first instinct, people are, your gut instinct, first instinct is like, ooh, just gross, sick. Oh my God, what's wrong with that? He's so fucked up. Or whatever. However you first react. Sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's disgust. I mean, a bunch of different ways. And I'm the same way. I think that's deplorable. I think that's horrible to molest a child. Absolutely. But now, what if I told you that that pedophile was molested as a child himself? Now, you might start to actually feel a little sorry for him and understand how that worked with his mind and how that created that person to be the way he is. Now, that doesn't mean that you accept it and condone what that person did. Of course not. But understanding it takes away from that anger, that hatred. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, like I said, we should let all these pedophiles out of prison. No, absolutely not. That's the last thing we should do. But we do need to understand people more, and we do need to try to help more. And we need, in order to help others, we got to help ourselves. We got to listen. We can't help. I can't help you if I'm unwilling to listen to what you have to say. It's impossible. I can't do it. The only way I could possibly help you through speaking is by listening to what you have to say. Understanding why you say what you say, what you believe, and then conveying my message to you in a way that would respond well with you, that you would understand. I mean, that's what you got to do. We are intelligent creatures, we're intelligent beings. We got so much more power than we even realize we have. Power to do good as well as power to do evil. And a lot of times we're well, most of the time, we're too afraid. It's fear. It's fear and fear of getting hurt, fear of being judged, fear of leaving our comfort zone. We all do this sometimes. I myself have done this many a time. I mean, you don't act because you're afraid. So you sit back and you take it. And you take it some more. And yeah, like I say, that's the way it is with the government. The government's slowly been taking away more and more of our rights and our freedoms and our power. And we sit back and we don't do anything. Because we're like, well, I don't. It's going to be too hard, or it'll be too much work, or they might kill me, or hurt me, torture me, or me and my family, and so you sit back and you don't do anything. You just keep doing it slowly and slowly and slowly, and eventually, if you let it go on long enough, you'll realize that holy shit, they built up a cage around me. I'm in prison, or I'm in hell, and then you're like, holy shit, now what the fuck do I do? I'm stuck in here and I can't do anything. It's a tough decision though. Because then the problem comes, well, what do I do? Because if I actually get violent, start fighting, all that, then I'm going against my principles, right? So yeah, you can't do that. All you can do is just try to speak the truth. Try to get people to hear and listen. And hope that it'll sink in. But based on reality and based on, all these prophecies and predictions, it doesn't look good for us, for mankind. So then you got to be prepared. Be prepared to defend your life and the lives of those you love with your own life. You got to be able to fight. And like I said, self-defense is not wrong. Is it better to walk away? If you can, yeah, of course. But you can only walk away but so long before it comes down to either fight or die. Now, there's a lot of people who say, well, you should just not fight, and God will accept you into heaven. And he probably would. That is the peaceful, I mean, way to be. Jesus didn't fight back when he could have. But God understands that we're not Jesus. We're not perfect. None of us are perfect. And for me personally, I think I personally would fight more to protect the life of someone I love than I would for my own life. But that's me personally. I probably would fight for my life as well. Um, but I don't worry about me as much as I worry about those I love. And I think that holds true with a lot of people as well. So what I'm saying is just be alert, be aware, don't be afraid. If there's something that you want to do it now before it's too late. I mean, as long as it's something good, as long as it's not like killing or raping or child molester or anything like that. If it's something good, especially if it's out of love. And remember, true love is about the other person. It's not about yourself. So when you truly love someone, you can't force them. You can't force them to love you. You can't. You got to love them. You got to actually respect and love who they are and what they want. And the main thing is that they are happy. Even if, so like me, odds are my cousin, uh, Sarah, odds are she will never fall in love with me, but I still love her, and I want her to be happy, healthy, and safe. So, if the best way for that to happen is for her and I not to get involved, or for her and I not to really communicate, talk too much, well, I mean, of course, that's not ideal for me personally, but I'd rather her be happy without me than to be unhappy with me. So, um, I've been going on for a while. Also, there's one other thing. Since I'm on here anyway, I've had these numbers that the vision of these 6 numbers in my head for years, and I've been trying to figure out what they mean. I know they mean something. So, if any of y'all have any idea what these numbers mean, I tried like searching the numbers and, of course, played the lottery. No luck there. But I searched the numbers and I came up with this like one thing that had this same string of numbers in the same order. Has something to do with lanthanides, some sort of like crystal polymers or something. But I don't know. I couldn't make any sense of that. So that chemistry and physics, that I'm not too good at that sort of thing. But the numbers are 7, 10, 14, 22, 26, and 29. I doubt any of y'all would know anything about those numbers, but if any of y'all who happen to be watching this know anything about like this the lanthanide crystal polymer type thing that whatever, trying to remember exactly what it was. It was like oh crap, I can't remember. What was it? I can't remember. Like a 34 membered octaza, or I can't honestly I can't remember. But if y'all happen to know anything, just hit me up. Um, and so, well, yeah, I guess I need to give y'all some way to contact me. This is my first video on YouTube, so I don't know like how easy it is to like if I get notified if there are comments or something on this video. But you could always email me. My email address is catseeker, CATSEEKER 22 at Yahoo. So if y'all want to talk or hit me up on there, you can. I don't have Facebook anymore. I kind of stopped using that. But and if you want to actually call me, well, talk to me through email first, and I might give you my phone number. But all right, well, just some things to think about. All right, hopefully I'm wrong about this Civil War, martial law, World War III thing that I really feel is about to happen. Um, but just be safe out there, be alert, be aware, and if something does go down, you're going to want to get away from the cities and the suburbs, get back into the country, probably because there's going to be there could be some major rioting, and I mean, they might try to take you away to these FEMA camps, and so for your own protection, you might want to get to the country, find a place in the woods or something, hunker down. Um, but I'm not going to suggest that you do that now. I mean, right now I'm sitting in the house, so but if it does start to go down, you might want to highly consider getting away from all of it. As far, I mean, like I said, it's going to be worse in and around big cities. So the bigger cities that you're in or around, it's going to be more dangerous. So just be prepared. And I love you all. And like I said, if you ever want to hit me up, I might post another video at some point later, but I just have to kind of feel motivated to do it. But I hope y'all actually listen to what I have to say. And I mean, most of you probably will already, who actually read this and know this, it won't really make a big deal. But to anyone that needs to hear it, please pass this on, share it, and So that way it might help other people as well. But, alright. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.